Welcome to episode 218 of the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. This is Danielle Amos, and I am your host. Today, I want to talk about mass motivation and conscious awareness. There's a quote by Earl Nightingale, and he said, "The opposite of courage is not cowardice, it is conformity." Think about this. The opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's actually conformity. Most people conform to what the masses are doing, the accepted view. And this isn't a problem if the masses were winning. If 97% of the population experienced financial freedom, reported to absolutely be in love with their life. But the truth is, if you interview most people on the street, very few are actually reporting a fulfilled life. And only about 1 to 3% report financial freedom, although almost everyone reports that they desire that. Studies show that you become like the people you hang around. In fact, people say like the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. So your level of motivation and the success, financial is just one area that you can measure, but you could also measure your health, your relationships, the way you eat, your golf score, by the people that you hang around. And if you look closely, you'll notice that you all have very similar results in the different areas. I heard Bob say, I'm not a golfer, but I heard my mentor, Bob Proctor, say in a training, if you want to improve your golf score, you better stop playing with your friends. And that's why golf was top of mind. And that's true for anything. Because you're playing at the level of your friends, you're like, isn't that interesting and sort of funny, and it's so true. So if conformity is the opposite of courage, and I find this very interesting because in David Hawkins' work, the Map of Consciousness book, he recognizes that the level in which, like the line in which consciousness goes from like a negative emotion or emotions that don't serve you to like, or a state of being that don't serve you, the line that is that turning point is the frequency of courage. So everything below courage are sort of like quote unquote like negative states, and everything above courage are positive states or frequencies in the map of consciousness. So courage is your ability to step out of the crowd, go against the grain. And this, I can so relate to this because I remember the moment when I decided that I wanted more for my life. I had followed the status quo. I went to high school, got grades to go to university, studied, decided that I wanted to be an eye doctor. So went into pre-med in science, biochemistry, life sciences. Didn't love it, but I was good at science, so did it anyway. Studied, finally admitted that it wasn't something that I wanted to do, while my grades reflected it. And I traveled after that, followed my passion for travel. So I love travel and experiencing the world and new cultures, and did that mainly through food, with a very big focus on Eastern traditions and Eastern philosophies, which I was drawn to at a young age. Came back from traveling and working abroad for about 6 years and got a job and worked and started getting into like hanging around, people in my hometown, Stratford, and getting into the like what it means to be a person in society. I got a car, got a job, then got rent and had responsibilities, and then worked my way through my career and actually established quite a good career working, uh, moving to Toronto and getting headhunted to work for the province. And before I know it, 10 years are gone by, 15 years are gone by. And I remember Eloise was about 11 months old, and I had went back to work from mat leave early, and I didn't want to, but I felt like I had to, which is a theme that I've noticed in my life. Putting other people first and putting other things first, not my own desires. So I went back to work and made it like juggled. Nursing her on my lunch breaks as Paul would bring her to my office. Gosh, it brings up emotion to think that I did that and didn't want to. Anyway, I remember being introduced to network marketing. She was about 11 months old. And I, in that moment, saw a possibility, a way to break free from the masses, break free from conforming to what everyone thought I should do, quote unquote, should. And I use that word on purpose because there's a lot of shame in it. And if I didn't do it, and the word should, by the way, implies shame. So I don't use it often. And when I do, it's on purpose. And I'm sure you can relate to this, and I'd love to hear from you if you have a similar story, or if you notice a time in your life where that you felt like there was this opportunity to be something more, that maybe you just had this feeling that you were meant for more. And in the 7 levels of awareness, which is in one of the programs that we study inside the Success Society, it's called The New Lead the Field with Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor. They talk about the levels of consciousness, awareness, and mass motivation is when people follow the follower or follow the crowd, and that's the 2nd level. And the 3rd level is called aspiration, and this is when a person aspires to live better than they are living, to be more than what they are. And when this happens for a person and their awareness increases to this level, it's usually because they see someone else living this way, or they're inspired by another person who's doing it, or perhaps like a book or a program. In my case, it was very much someone introduced me to an opportunity and told me that financial freedom was on the other side of it. I saw other people winning, and I thought, if she can, I can. And Maslow says it's at this level of conscious awareness where the person will either step into growth, like take the invitation to grow, or they'll step back into safety and conformity in that mass consciousness. And so it's either one or the other. And I stepped forward into growth, and it was scary. It was really scary. I had a lot of judgment, a lot of people who thought I was crazy. Why did I need to start something new when I had a new baby, when I had this job that from the outside looked amazing, that I had this life? But I couldn't explain it. And this is where I'd love to hear from you. I just knew that I was made for more, and I couldn't stand continuing the way that I was continuing. And I went on my path to explore network marketing, which is an industry, by the way, I completely love. I created another source of income. I learned about the benefits of multiple sources of income and leadership, and I was so inspired. I assumed I'd go right to the top because I knew I was already a leader in my life. I knew that I had success in my life prior, and I had a strong belief in myself, but I didn't. I didn't succeed. Not in the beginning anyway, and I hustled hard. And I had so much slack from others, but I kept going. And when I look back at that time, I wonder how I did. I had so many no's. But the truth is, I surrounded myself with a new group of friends, with a new group of influencers, with a new group of people who were also stepping out of the norm and going on this network marketing journey. I fully immersed myself in the culture, the books, the seminars, and I met other people who were doing it and succeeding. And this environment is what allowed me to break free. And it was really the beginning of this journey. Although it was hard, it wasn't that hard to step away when I was surrounded by other people that were thinking differently. So this is how I started this podcast. Is the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity, and this idea of mass consciousness. So I want you to look in your environment right now and ask yourself some serious questions. Are you spending time with people who are achieving their results that you want to achieve? Look at the people that are in your life, and it's not a judgment thing. They're probably very nice people, incredible people. And are they getting the results that you want for your life? And what if your kids have those same results? Is that the life that you want for them? Or do you want more? And what would it take to get yourself in an environment that's conducive to the unfoldment to your unlimited infinite potential? This is why community is so important. One of the key pillars of the Success Society. A community of people who are committed to their growth and evolution, committed to financial freedom, to their happiness, to their well-being, committed to having it all, whatever having it all looks like for that individual. If you're not in a community where people are going for more, where they're setting big goals, incredible goals that others around them think are crazy, if they're not in that environment, they'll conform to the environment that they're in. So objectively look at your life. Objectively take stock. No judgment, just think interesting. And then actively find a community. I invite you to look at the Success Society. We have the Success Club. Success Society is where you're actually going to mastermind, show up every day to study club with like-minded individuals who are also in this work, who speak the same language. You'll hear wins every single week of people who are attracting new clients, getting paid 5-6 figures a month, a client. One woman literally added a zero from around $700 for a client to $7,500. Why? Because she believed she could. How did she believe she could? Because others were proof for her in this community. She was shown the system of how to change her beliefs to accept this belief to be true for herself. She was surrounded by evidence. No more conforming to the masses, but she instead aspired to live better. She raised her conscious awareness to aspiration. And then beyond that, the next level is individual, where the person wants to express their uniqueness. And this level requires more discipline, which is another key pillar in our community, is the accountability and self-responsibility. And that requires discipline. And discipline is your ability to give yourself a command and follow it, to lead yourself. And we show you how to do that because we lead ourselves in this container. This is what's available to you, and it takes courage. It takes courage to step out from the norm. It takes courage to stand out, and you will stand out. And people will question you, most likely, and they will call you crazy. They'll ask you how much you invested for the program. You did what? You could have paid for a car. Yeah, you could have. A car that devalues and deappreciates itself, or you could have invested in yourself, which has the largest return on investment, where you can double, triple, 10x your income in 6 months because you've learned and you've become more consciously aware, and you're surrounded yourself by people who are winning and also experiencing financial freedom. So those that aren't in it, they'll question, they won't get it, but they're not supposed to. Don't speak to your neighbor or your best friend, your parents about this, not unless they're in the material. Talk to someone that has the results that you're looking for. Those are the only people you want to seek advice from, ever, which is why mentorship becomes super important. Ask someone who has the results that you're seeking in that area of your life. Ask them. Calibrate to their thinking. Calibrate to their actions. But it's not only their actions. Remember, that's very 3D. That's physical world. It's the actions. It's not the actions. It's the energy behind the actions. So this is my invitation to you. If you've been watching by the sidelines, how's that working for you? Why not have the courage to say yes to you? Why not have the courage to say yes to that pull, that knowing in your heart that you are here for more? As Maslow said, you'll either step forward into growth or back into safety. You cannot stay the same. So if you aren't taking action and you're watching from the sidelines, you're back in safety. Step forward into your growth, into your best life. Now is the time. April 8th, we've got an eclipse, new beginnings. This is such a good time to invest in yourself, to start new, to raise your level of awareness. In fact, it's super important. And the world needs you to shine, needs you to rise and be an example for others. And if you are here listening, this is meant for you. So hop on a call with our team. Click the link for the Success Society, 6 or 12 months. Join us. There's also invitation to apply for the Expanse Mastermind. That's not going to be for everyone. For very people who are very, very dedicated to their growth, because it's close proximity to me. So I've got high standards, and that might be you. I'd love to consider your application. The links are in the show notes. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and expect abundance.